Let's talk about the 26 books that I want to read in 2026. So I thought long and hard about doing maybe a 16 books for 2026 because 26 books is a lot. So this year I have read, so far when I'm filming this, I have read 49 books, which is not much at all for me personally because last year I've read 80 books and the year before that I read 100 books. So I have not been reading that many books, but that's also because this year I moved into this house. So obviously there went a lot of work into that. So I was thinking about maybe 26 is a bit much for next year and maybe I'm not able to read that many books, but on the other hand I thought about my reading goal and I think I'm gonna put it at 75 books for next year, so then to have a TBR of 26, it's actually fine, you know, I can get to 26 of these books. And I made a list with all of the books that I'm super excited for. There are some new releases on this list and almost all of them are fantasy romance. But obviously if you've read 10 books this year, then you are a reader and that's amazing, especially when you enjoyed those 10 books. I also have a fun idea with my 2026 TBR because I want to make a series on my channel where I read every single book of this list. I am gonna make dedicated reading vlogs to getting every single book of this list read. So if you are interested to see me read all 26 of these books, then please consider subscribing to my channel and stick around to see me read every single book. So if you have not already done so, please grab yourself a drink. I am drinking a ginger and lemon tea, and let's get straight into the 26 books that I want to read in 2026. I have read this book 5 years ago. 5 years ago, and I've never done a reread, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. And when somebody is asking me what is a really good book to get me into fantasy, I always recommend this because it's the most popular and everyone basically loves it, so it's a good stable read. But I have read it when I just got into reading and I just want to know if I still like it just as much, or maybe my reading taste just changed a little bit and it's not gonna hit as hard. I just want to do a reread and see what I think of it. Next up, I have a less popular book that is A Kiss of Iron by Claire Sager. I have heard maybe one person ever talk about this book. I don't even remember who it was. It was just, I heard someone talk about it and I added it to my Goodreads want to read and it's been sitting there for a year now. Oh no, 2 years, almost 2 years. I added this book on January 6th, 2024. That's crazy. I need to read this book. Okay, so this book, it's A Kiss of Iron and it is basically about court politics in a Bridgerton world. So our female main character is sent into this kingdom to spy on some Fey lord, I believe. And that just sounds really interesting. I love a Regency romance like Bridgerton. I'm really obsessed with Bridgerton, so if this gives off that vibe but in a fantasy world, then it just sounds really good and I really want to read it. It also has an average rating on Goodreads of 3.95, so that's a pretty good rating, I think. And there are 3 books out. It's a trilogy and the trilogy is completed, so if you want to read all 3, then they're all out, so that's perfect. Next on my list, I have When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker, and I'm so excited for this book. I have not read it because I wanted to wait for the second book to come out. And the second book is coming out in 2026, I believe April, if I'm saying that correctly. And I just heard so many good things about this. Obviously, I love fantasy, I love dragons, and this is a fantasy romance with dragons, so I was obviously gonna read it. I just heard that the world is sometimes a little bit difficult to understand, so I decided to wait until the second book was coming out so that I can at least read book 1 and 2 so that I remember the first book way better. Because I knew if I were to read this book in the beginning of 2025 and I would have to wait a year for the second book, then I have to do a reread. I can't remember. So I decided to wait for that, and I really want to read it in 2026. I'm very excited for this one. Then another book that I really want to read is Lady of Darkness by Melissa K. Rorich. I have not read one book by Melissa K. Rorich, even though she is so popular. She is really blowing up right now. And I know that she has a spin-off series from the Lady of Darkness series. I don't really remember what that is called, but it is a darker fantasy series, and this is her first fantasy series, and it's also recommended that you read the Lady of Darkness series first. So that is what I want to do, and I bought maybe special editions of this series, even though I have not read it. I will explain to you why I bought special editions. There is actually not a reason that's going to justify this, but okay, I love Fairy Loot, and Fairy Loot did the special editions of the first 3 books in the Lady of Darkness series, and they looked so fun, so I pre-ordered them. And they're coming maybe in March or something, so I need to wait for them for a little bit. I do hope that I'm gonna love this series, but I'm definitely gonna be reading it because I bought special editions. Next up, I have Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher, and I am just slowly, very slowly, making my way through Lauren Asher's books. And Love Unwritten is the second book in the Lakefront Billionaires series. And this is about a nanny, and I love a nanny romance. If you know me, then you know that I absolutely am obsessed with Elsie Silver's Chestnut Spring series and Heartless. Heartless is my favorite book ever. Cade in that book, I love him so much, and I hope that this is gonna be that same vibe. I just love a nanny romance because of that. Also, the nanny romance that Liz Stamford wrote in Caught Up. I mean, I just love that. I just love a single dad trope. I eat it up every single time. So I know that I'm gonna love this book, Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher. I already know that I'm gonna be obsessed with it. I love Lauren Asher, and I love a nanny romance. Next up, I have another series that I really need to get to, and that is Blood and Steel by Helen Schurer. So Helen Schurer has also been an author that has been blowing up since this year, maybe last year. So she currently has 2 series. One is The Legends of Thesmar, and the other one is The Ashes of Thesmar. And you are supposed to read The Legends of Thesmar first, so that's what I'm gonna do. And it starts with Blood and Steel. That's why I put Blood and Steel on my 2026 TBR. But obviously, if I like it, I will binge this entire universe. I am so excited for this. This premise also sounds really good. We have our female main character, and she has always dreamed of being a warrior legend. And this is set in a world where women are forbidden to become warrior legends. So she is the only woman, I think, and she has been trained by Welder Hawthorne, her unwilling warrior chaperone. And the romance is going to be with him, and I am very excited for that. Next up, I have Winter's Maiden by Morgan L. Bussey. Bussey? Is that how you say that? I am so sorry if I'm mispronouncing any of the authors' names or the books. I am so sorry. Anyway, this is a Christian fantasy novel, and I am so excited for this because this sounds like, do you know Game of Thrones with the big war at the wall? Like the icy war at the wall with Jon Snow? This book gives up that vibe because it is about a daughter of the North, and she becomes one of the most fearful warriors of the North, and it is about a war against the South. And one day she gets captured. And then we have our male main character who is a healer for the South, and he finds out that he has certain powers. I don't know what kind of powers, it doesn't say. And then he interacts with the enemy, obviously, the female main character that gets captured. It just sounds really good. I really want to read it in the winter time because obviously it really fits in this season. And I want to read more books by Christian authors, so I really want to try out Morgan L. Bussey. Next up, I have The Silversmith by L.J. Claren. This book just came out in 2025. This is the first book in a new fantasy romance series, and it is about a girl who finds out that she has hidden magical powers. It is about the realm of Nerida, and in this realm there is an ancient shadow wielder, and he is determined to claim her power. Okay, so the female main character is supposed to marry the commander, but falls in love with the scary shadow wielder. I don't know how that's gonna work, but it just sounds so good, and he's gonna help her train, but he secretly wants to claim her power. So I'm just very interested in this, and this also has a very nice wintry setting. It says she needs to survive in the icy wilds of the north. So again, perfect for the wintertime. I really want to read this. And it also says that it is a slow burn romance, which I really love. Next up, we have Dance of Thieves, and I am embarrassed that I have not read this book yet. I am so embarrassed that I haven't read it because I love young adult fantasy duologies. Why have I not read this? Okay, I know partly why I haven't read it, because this is by Mary E. Pearson, and Mary E. Pearson also wrote a trilogy that comes before this duology, and you're supposed to read that first. So I tried to read the first book in that trilogy, Kiss of Deception it's called, and I wasn't really invested in that one. It was not that I didn't enjoy it, but I read the first book and then I was reading other books, and then 3 months went by and I was like, oh, I needed to read the second book in that series, but I had zero interest to pick it up. So I decided I still want to read Dance of Thieves because I heard that this duology is one of people's favorites when it comes to young adult duologies. And this is supposed to have a really good yearning, and I live for yearning. I don't even care what else it is about. I need to read this. It's so popular. A lot of people love it, especially people who love young adult fantasy romance, and that's one of my favorite things in the world. So why have I not read this? Then we have an interesting one, and that is Lightlark by Alex Astor. Okay, so obviously Lightlark is very popular, and when the first book came out, I heard so many mixed opinions that I was like, I don't know if I want to read that. It also has trials in it, and I was a little bit trial sick at the time that this book came out because there were so many books with trials, and I was like, okay, every single author is doing trials now. I am a little bit sick of it. It's all gonna sound the same to me. And again, this is a book with trials and a love triangle. We have seen that a million times, so I was like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna read this series. But then I started seeing some character art of our two male main characters, Grim and Oro. I know that they're called that. I don't know. How do I already know so much about a series that I have not read yet? Anyway, that started to interest me a little bit because we have this golden boy and we have this dark other type of character. Grim is the darker type of character and Oro is the lighter type of character. So I am always very strongly a fan of the darker character. So I just want to read it, and I just want to know if she is going to end up with that person, or if I maybe like Oro better. I don't know. I have no idea. I need to read the book. I am so interested right now because of the fourth book that came out in this series. I'm so interested right now that I'm like, I just need to read it. Also, one of my favorite books ever is Powerless, and I read that this year, and that reignited my love for trials and young adult books, and I want more of that. So if Lightlark even slightly gives me that feeling that Powerless gave me, then I'll be happy. Next up, we have The Knave and the Moon by Rachel Gillick. And this is a new release that is coming out in 2026. So if you don't know, Rachel Gillick wrote The Night and the Moth, and that book is so good. It is so unique. So this is going to be a duology, so that means that this book that's going to come out is the finale. And I'm really interested to see where the series is going to go. Rachel Gillick writes such unique fantasies, and they are called fantasy romances, but I personally don't really always agree with that because her books are more fantasy with a subplot of romance. But that subplot of romance is so good. She also wrote the Shepherd's King duology, and if you have not read that, then run to the bookstore, pick it up. It is so good. Her magic systems are unlike any other I've ever read, and especially with this book. So this is about divination, and our female main character is a diviner, and that means that she can enter someone's dreams, and in those dreams she can see some kind of prophecy. And there is way more to it than what I'm telling you right now, but I think that this book is so good, and it's better if you go in a little bit blind, but just know that the magic system is very unique, and the romance is between a diviner and a knight, and honestly the knight is really, really good. And there's also a side character in this book, and he is how do you come up with this? This is exactly what I mean when I say she writes such unique books. I would never come up with this, but she wrote a side character that is a gargoyle. So he is basically a stony gargoyle. I don't even know how to explain this, but the gargoyle, he is so much fun. It is a side character. It is like the comedic note to this whole book. And he is so funny, and it is so good to follow along with him and with our main character. And I'm really excited for the second book, and it comes out right now. Goodreads is telling me that it's coming out the 1st of September, so I'm excited for this. Next up, I have a book that has no title and no cover. And that is the 5th book in the This Woven Kingdom series by TBR Mafi. I'm just very excited for this book because I love this series, and Goodreads currently tells me that it's coming out in... oh, the 1st of September as well. No way. What am I going to read the 1st of September? If both of these books are going to come out the 1st of September. What do you mean? They're both coming out the 1st of September. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. Anyway... TBR Mafi is one of my favorite authors of all time. She wrote the Shatter Me series, and she's now working on the This Woven Kingdom series. And this is going to be the 5th and maybe final book. I don't really know if it's going to be the final book, but this series is so good. And it is a Jinn magic inspired fantasy world. And I really love Jinn magic when that is in books. It is very interesting and very different than what you normally read about. And I really love Jinn magic because when I just got into reading, one of the series that I was absolutely obsessed with was the Ember in the Ashes Quartet by Sabatayir. And that made me fall in love with Jinn magic, and ever since that time I've been looking for a series that have that same Jinn magic in them. And even though This Woven Kingdom is very, very different, it has the same magical elements. The book also feels very different, and it's very character driven. So if you don't like it when an entire book follows the development of the romance or of one character, you think that's too slow, then you're not gonna like this series. And that's the reason why some people are not loving this series, because they feel like nothing happens, even though everything happens, because it's about our characters, okay? Our characters go through things and they work things out with each other. They have conversations that I am 100% here for. So it's not that nothing happens in those books, but I understand when people say like it's a little bit too slow and it focuses more on the relationships between the characters than the actual plot. I love the series, and I'm very excited for the next book to come out on the 1st of September. While we are still talking about Jinn magic, I also have a fun duology on this list. And the first book in that duology is The Jasad Heir, and I have heard nothing but good things about this duology. All I know is that it is an Egyptian-inspired fantasy, and it's a duology, and that everyone is rating it 4 or 5 stars. And honestly, that is all I need to know. It sounds a lot like This Woven Kingdom, and I cannot say why, because that would be a huge spoiler. But just the premise of this book, comparing that to This Woven Kingdom, it sounds kind of similar, and I hope that it's going to be just as good. We'll see. Next up, I have Servant of Earth by Sarah Hawley. And this book is also, I feel like this book doesn't get as much hype as other books on this list, but it's still quite popular, and Servant of Earth became a little bit more popular because it is a book about trials, but our female main character is not the one anticipating in those trials. She helps her mistress to complete these trials. So I thought that it was a very fun take on it, and I've just heard very good reviews about it, so I was very interested in it. And also the second book in this series came out this year, so I don't only have this book to read, but I have the second book if I like the first one. Next up, we have The Second Death of Locke, and this book I put on this list because I wanted something else with a knight after reading Rachel Gillick's books. And this book is about a mage. Our male main character is a mage and our female main character is a knight. So I really like that dynamic, and she is some kind of power well for this mage. It just sounded really unique. I have not heard many people talk about it. I just randomly found it on Goodreads when I was looking at The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillick because I wanted something similar, you know, but obviously there is nothing similar because Rachel Gillick, like I said, she writes very unique stories. But this also sounded unique, and it's with a knight, but then our female main character is the knight. So I want to try it out for myself, and I don't know if this is a series or if it is a standalone. Let me check. It doesn't really say. I see so many people screaming about the romance in this book. I see all these comments that say, "Bring back yearning. We need more female knights in our romance books." Okay, yeah. Apparently people are loving this. I don't know if it's a standalone or not, but I will read it in 2026, so I will let you know once I've read it if it is standalone or if there are going to be more books in this series. Next up, I have Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare, and this is book 2 in the Dark Artifices. I have read the first book in the Dark Artifices in September, October, around that time, and I really liked it. I just didn't pick up the second book yet. I don't know why, probably because the books are very long and intimidating. But I am really enjoying them, so I want to continue this series. And then I only have one more trilogy to read by Cassandra Clare, and I just want to read all of her books. They just give me so many nostalgic feelings, and I really love her books, so I really want to read this trilogy, and then the final trilogy is the Lost Hours trilogy. I really want to read that one as well. Okay, next up we have To Cage a Wild Bird by Brooke Fast, and okay, all I know about this is that it is Divergent meets Prison Break. And that's all I need to know. It's a dystopian setting, but it's also about, the setting is a prison and kind of breaking out of that prison. And I know that our female main character gets into the prison to save her brother. It came out this year, and I also think that it's a standalone because it doesn't say that it's a part of a series on Goodreads. I just really love dystopian worlds and stories set in a dystopian world, and I also really love Prison Break, so that combination just sounded really good to me. Next up, we have an obvious one, and that is Brimstone by Kelly Hart, the second book in the Fae and Alchemy series. The first book was Quicksilver, and I just want to continue reading this series, especially how Quicksilver ended. I was thinking about reading it at the end of December around this time, but I didn't remember Quicksilver well enough. So I'm currently listening to the audiobook of Quicksilver so that I'm ready to read Brimstone in maybe January or February. We'll see. Next, I have A Tongue So Sweet and Deadly by Sophia Saint Germain, and I have heard that this book is for those who love Aelin in Throne of Glass. And I love Aelin, so I thought, let's get into it. And I really wanted to have a good Fae series on this list, and that's what this is. It has 4 books, and the 4th book came out recently, so the series is now completed. So if I like the first book, I might just binge the entire series, and I really love it when that's possible, when all of the books are out. So I'm very excited for this, and I will let you know if I think that our female main character reminds me of Aelin. Next, I have Daughter of the Moon Goddess, and this is by Su Lin Tan, and this year I have read Immortal by her, and I was blown away by that book. I had never read a Chinese-inspired book, a Chinese legend-inspired book, and obviously I know absolutely nothing about Chinese legends, so the world felt so unique to me. Her writing style was so beautiful, and it was kind of fairy tale-esque. It felt a little bit like Once Upon a Broken Heart, but then more epic fantasy, you know what I mean? So yeah, I was really excited. And Immortal is a standalone, so if you want to try something by Su Lin Tan, but you don't want to commit to a series, then you can read Immortal. It's just a standalone, really good book. And this is only a duology. The world of Immortal was so interesting that I would just want more of that, and this book is set in the same world, in the Celestial Kingdom. So I'm really excited to see what that's going to be about. Okay, the next few books on this list are very popular. So I'm just gonna mention them and tell you a little bit of why I want to read them. But in terms of a synopsis, I'm going in a little bit blind because I already know what people are saying about this book. So if I also read the entire synopsis, then I feel like I know too much about the book when I go into it. And if you want to know more about these books, then please stick around to watch me read these books in 2026. So first up we have Shield of Sparrows by Daphne Perry. Obviously a very popular romance book. Book 2 is coming out in 2026. Let me check when that is. April 7th. I am excited to read both of these. I just like it more when the second book is already out, so that I have at least 2 books to read if I like the first one. If only the first book is out, I usually wait a little bit longer until I at least know when the second book is going to come out before I pick it up. Next up we have Direbound, and obviously it's just as popular, I feel like, as Shield of Sparrows. And Direbound is compared to Fourth Wing, but then with direwolves. I don't know if that is a good thing or not, because I did really like Fourth Wing, but I never continued on with the series. Even though I do really like the premise about a war college and dragons, and this is also about a war college, but then with direwolves. So it just sounds really good, and that's why I'm interested to read it. Furybound is the second book, and that's coming out on the 5th of May in 2026. So I also don't really have to wait that long for the second book, or I could just read Direbound in May. To just have the second book ready for me. Next up we have Metal Slinger by Rachel Snyder, and I waited for a reason with reading this book because the second book is coming out in 2026 and it's only a duology, and all I've heard about this book is that the romance is really good and that the plot twist at the end is gonna blow your mind. And I saw a lot of people on BookTube suffering after that plot twist and not having the second book, so I just waited. I thought if I don't know what this is about, then I don't mind, you know? I am not waiting painfully for the second book. I'm just waiting to read it in general. The second book is called Lightwielder, and it comes out June 9th, 2026. So we need to wait until June to read this duology, but I am very excited. I'm just so interested to see if the plot twist is really that shocking to me. Because I read so much fantasy romance, so maybe I'm gonna, you know, see it coming. I don't know. I'm expecting a big plot twist, so maybe that's gonna affect the way that I go into it, and maybe that's gonna affect how I'm gonna enjoy this book. But I still want to pick it up, and like I said, I love a duology, so the more the better. Okay, we have 3 more books to talk about, and the first book is Riftborn by Greenwich and Lennox. And I don't know much about this book, honestly. Okay, in my head, this book feels so similar to Blood and Steel, and maybe those books are completely different and I don't even feel the same when I will be reading them. But it just sounds like it's following a little bit of the same premise. It is about a female main character who discovers that she has certain powers, and then she's gonna fall in love with a general. And I love a general love interest, so... And the book that is getting a lot of hype is The Ascendant, and that is also by these 2 authors. And it's a spin-off series from Riftborn. So if I enjoy Riftborn, then I can also read The Ascendant. But I put Riftborn on it because I feel like you're supposed to read that first, and I really want to try it out because I heard, you know, very good things about this. So I would be really sad not to pick it up or not to try it out for myself, and if I don't like it, I will just read The Ascendant. This is gonna be a trilogy, and Realm Blade is the third book, and I feel like it's coming out in... it's not coming out in 2026. But the third book is gonna come out on January 1st, 2027. That's what Goodreads is telling me right now, but it's so far away that it might get pushed back. But anyway, there are 2 books out right now, so I can just read it and see if I like it, and then we need to wait another year for the third book. Sadly. Next up, I have a book that I've heard absolutely nobody talk about, and that is Cities of Smoke and Starlight by Ellie Ernest. And it is part of the Gate Chronicles series. It is book 1 in a trilogy. And this is basically a Star Wars inspired book about a pilot and a bookstore owner. I randomly found this book on Goodreads one day. Let me read you some of the end of the synopsis, and that will make you understand why I want to read this. So it says, Cities of Smoke and Starlight is a science fantasy novel perfect for the fans of Dune, Pride and Prejudice, and anyone who believed Rogue One needed a romantic subplot. What do you mean, Dune and Pride and Prejudice? That sounds so good. So I'm expecting a Star Wars-ass world, Dune-like world with a very good romance because it says Pride and Prejudice. And yes, Rogue One definitely needed a romantic subplot. So I love Star Wars, and I really love Poe Dameron. If you don't know, Poe Dameron is a pilot in the Star Wars universe. He is in the newer Star Wars movies, so not in the original Star Wars movies, but the newer ones that came out from 2017, I believe. And Poe Dameron is a character that I really, really like, and I have always wanted to see some kind of a romantic plot with him. So when I saw this book, I was like, yes, I'm just gonna be picturing Poe Dameron this entire book. And this series has 3 books in it, so it's a trilogy, and it is also completed. So if I like it, I can binge all 3 books. So we are already at the final book of this list, and that is Heavenly Bodies by Imani Ariu, and I am really excited for this because obviously it's also a very popular book and people are saying that the romance in this is really good. I also maybe ordered a special edition of the second book because, again, I saw it on the website of FairyLoot, and I just had to do it. It was so beautiful, I had to do it, and I trust people on BookTube that I'm gonna like this book. And the second one just looked way too pretty, so I really want to read it in 2026. So if you don't know, Heavenly Bodies was first indie published, and then it got picked up by a publisher, which is why it's taking a little bit longer for the third book to arrive. So the third book is coming out on November 26th, it says on Goodreads. And I don't know if that's going to be the final book, but I'm excited for this series. I am gonna wait for my FairyLoot edition of Fallen Stars, the second book. I'm gonna wait for that to arrive before I'm gonna read this series. But I'm very excited for it. Okay, so those were all of the 26 books that I want to read in 2026. That was a lot of yapping. If you are still here, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel to stick around and watch me read all 26 of these books. I would really love it if you would stick around. And yeah, let me know what kind of book that you are most excited for to read in 2026. Or if you want to do that, put all of the 26 books that you want to read in 2026 in the comments. I will read it. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye!